I think the biggest difficulty in making a lasting change in your health and fitness journey is making different choices. I think about the New Year's resolutions. Everyone's very clear about their goals, whether it's losing weight, gaining muscle, or improving flexibility. But if you keep making the same choices, you're going to keep following the same routines and experiencing the same results. You're going to keep doing the same workouts, experiencing the same plateaus, and living with the same level of fitness. Your body's response, your muscle growth, flexibility, endurance, and even your metabolism is going to stay the same because you're not challenging yourself to think or act differently. Those routines in your workouts ultimately become hardwired, and the emotions tied to your fitness progress, or lack thereof, they get conditioned subconsciously into your body. So 95% of who we are in our fitness journey by midlife is an unconscious set of thoughts, behaviors, and emotions that are automatically programmed into our biology. And the first step to change isn't just thinking positively. You have to become conscious of those unconscious thoughts when you decide to make a different choice in your fitness routine. The thought that says, start tomorrow, it's too hard. Just do it anyway, go ahead and make that new choice. And those old thoughts of, I'll just do the same workout, or I'll skip that exercise, or you're not strong enough, you'll never reach your goals, you're too old, or it's too late to start, you failed last time. You have to become so conscious of those limiting thoughts that you would never allow them to dictate your fitness decisions, and that's change. You have to catch yourself in how you approach your workouts and nutrition, because if you want to be fit and healthy, but you're skipping workouts, eating poorly, or comparing yourself to others, those behaviors are not going to make you healthier, they're going to keep you stuck. So you've got to become so aware of those unconscious habits that you wouldn't go on autopilot and continue them. And then, of course, you've got to look at those emotions, like the frustration from not seeing the progress or the disappointment from missing a fitness goal, and decide, does this lack, this suffering, this pain belong in my future? And that process of becoming so conscious that we don't slip back into old habits is the process of change. And how many times do we have to forget until we stop forgetting and start remembering? Well, that's the moment of change. So the hard part about change is when you decide to make a different choice in your fitness journey. Get ready, it's going to feel uncomfortable, there's going to be uncertainty, you're not going to be able to predict how your body will respond immediately, and it's going to feel unfamiliar. If your body has been conditioned to operate in a certain way, sticking to easy, comfortable exercises, for example, then it will try to steer you back to those habits because that feels safer than the uncertainty of pushing your limits. So going from your old fitness self to a new, healthier self and crossing that river is a neurological, biological, chemical, hormonal, and genetic shift. That's the phoenix rising from the ashes. And most people would rather cling to the familiar than take a chance on what's possible in their fitness future. But we've discovered that the brain and body change the most when you push past the point where you think you can't go any further. If you go past that point, that's the unknown. And the unknown has always been a scary place in our biology. Is this new workout too hard? Am I risking injury? Or is this just my body adapting to a new challenge? So the unknown becomes a scary place when we're living in survival mode. But if a person is taught how to execute in the unknown, how to push their limits safely, that there's nothing to fear, and they can apply the same principles, like what thoughts do I want to fire and wire in my brain about my fitness, then they can achieve something truly magnificent. And a belief is just a thought you keep thinking over and over again. So what is the voice in my head that I want to program my brain into thinking and believing about my body and health? What behaviors am I going to demonstrate in my workouts? If I'm not going to skip leg day or slack off on my stretches, let me rehearse in my mind how I'm going to commit to my routine. The act of mental rehearsal literally grows circuits in the brain. Now your brain is starting to look like you've already made those healthy choices. Your brain is no longer a record of past failures. It's being conditioned and mapped into your future fitness success. So if you keep practicing that, the hardwire becomes automatic. It becomes a softwire program, and you start behaving that way. Then the biggest challenge is, okay, if I'm not going to feel discouraged or defeated, but instead want to feel proud and energized, can I teach my body emotionally what my future health will feel like before it happens? And once you start conditioning your body to an elevated emotion, like pride in your progress or excitement for your workouts, we tend to see that these positive, heart-centered emotions produce the most dramatic changes in our biology. Your body doesn't know the difference between the real workout experience and the emotion you're creating by thought alone. Your body starts adapting and improving. So keep thinking differently, keep acting differently, keep feeling differently. That's your fitness personality. Then your personal reality begins to change, and people who cross that river find new opportunities, new achievements, and new levels of health in their life. However, when many people seek change in their health and fitness, they don't go deep enough. They think that adopting a new exercise routine or cutting out sugar will be enough to transform their lives. But the underlying habits and beliefs that drive their behavior are still there, waiting to take over. So despite the fact that you've stopped eating sugar, or you're trying to stick to a new workout plan, or even aiming to be more disciplined, these changes are often too surface level to create lasting transformation. Unfortunately for some, it takes hitting rock bottom in their fitness journey to realize this. It's when you're no longer just cruising along thinking everything's fine that you can truly see yourself and your habits for what they are. When you're inside the jar, you can't read the label. It often takes a major wake-up call, a health scare, an injury, or reaching a point of extreme dissatisfaction with your body or energy levels for you to finally stop and think, maybe it's me. Maybe I need to change on a deeper level. That moment when you see yourself from a new perspective, it's powerful. It's called metacognition, the ability to observe your own thoughts and behaviors as if you were someone else. Often people wait for that crisis. Whether it's a severe health issue, a significant injury, or just the realization that their body isn't functioning as it should, to finally say, I need to make a real change. At that point, blaming others, your past, or your circumstances doesn't work anymore. You're left with the truth. I need to change if I want my health and fitness to improve. When you see yourself separate from your current habits and realize they aren't serving you, that's the first step to real change. Now you can learn and change in a state of pain and suffering, which is what most people wait for, or you can learn and change in a state of joy and inspiration. So, could you be defined by a vision of a fitter, healthier future? Could you get up from your morning practice, whether it's meditation, visualization, or simply planning your day, believing in your future health and fitness more than you believe in your past failures? And from that elevated state where you combine a clear intention with positive emotions like excitement and determination, you can become conscious of that old self that wasn't serving you. And what a great time in history to be alive, because this is a time where it's not just enough to know, it's crucial to know how and to do. 20 years ago, people didn't absorb this kind of information like they do now. Today, the tools and knowledge are readily available, and people are realizing, if I have this dream, if I have this fitness goal, how badly do I want it? And if you really want it, you sit down and ask yourself, what would it be like to be in the best shape of my life? To feel strong, energized, and flexible? Your brain gets creative, it starts combining circuits in new ways, and you start to envision a future where you're achieving those fitness goals. And this vision becomes so vivid that you start to feel the emotions as if you've already reached your goals. And the stronger the emotion you feel when you hold that vision, the more you'll remember it. You'll come out of that state of rest or visualization and make a decision with such firm intention that it triggers a real physical response in your body. And that decision becomes a moment in time you'll never forget. You'll say, I remember the moment I made up my mind to change my health and fitness. You'll remember where you were, who you were with, and how it felt. That decision creates a long-term memory, and you're giving your body a taste of what your future could be like. And when you start to embody that future, you naturally begin moving in a new direction. You start trusting in the future more because you feel connected to it. So someone truly interested in changing their health and fitness needs to visit that state regularly to produce the same powerful effects. If you say, I don't feel like working out today, or I want to be healthier but there's no real urgency, you'll struggle to make lasting changes. Intention requires meaning. You need a strong reason behind your actions. So people who say, I want a better, healthier life, realize that they can't achieve that unless they change deeply. And when they change, their lives, both physically and mentally, will change too. Now, instead of focusing on external circumstances, they become more interested in what's happening inside themselves. They realize that true transformation in health and fitness starts from within. Okay, so to go from any state we're in now to a new state, that transformation process requires stepping from the known into the unknown. But how can people get more comfortable with stepping into the unknown, especially in their health and fitness journey? Why is it such a scary place? Well, the brain is essentially a record of the past. It's a reflection of everything in your environment that's familiar to you. It's an artifact, a repository of everything you've learned and experienced in your life, particularly in your health and fitness. It's your memory bank. So when people wake up in the morning, every person, every workout, every place, every challenge, every success or failure they've had in their fitness journey is mapped neurologically in their brain. So what happens? You wake up and the first thing you do is think about your fitness goals or the barriers you faced. Those thoughts are really memories tattooed in the recesses of your brain. The moment you start remembering that struggle or that missed goal, you're thinking in the past. Each of these experiences has an emotion tied to it, like frustration, discouragement, or even a bit of pride. So when you think of the past, you start feeling those same emotions, putting your body in the past. Thoughts are the language of the brain and feelings are the language of the body. And when your thought and feelings, image and emotion, or stimulus and response combine, you're conditioning your body emotionally into the familiar past. Your body, as I mentioned before, is so objective that it doesn't know the difference between the real life experience and the one you're imagining. It starts believing it's living in that same environment where the problem, like a fitness plateau or a struggle with consistency, exists in the present moment. And that becomes your familiar past, what we call the known. Then people get up and rush through a series of automatic routine behaviors. Maybe they skip their workout, or maybe they choose an easy exercise routine or stick to familiar, comfortable movements. They're on autopilot because they do the same thing today as they did yesterday. A habit is just a redundant set of automatic, unconscious thoughts, behaviors, and emotions acquired through repetition. Now their body is dragging them into the same predictable future based on what they did in the past. In other words, you could take yesterday and overlay it onto tomorrow and the result would be pretty predictable. So if you can predict something, that's the known too. The feeling of your past is the known, the predictable future is the known, but there's only one place left where the unknown exists, and that's the sweet spot of the generous present moment. This is where real transformation happens in your health and fitness journey. So to teach people how to master the moment, how to master their intention, where you place your attention is where you place your energy. Paying attention is being present. And you know when someone's paying attention to you because they're present with you and you can feel it. The same is true in your workouts and your daily routines, being fully present with what you're doing. So let's say you're sitting with your eyes closed meditating and you're preparing for your workout and you start thinking, how long is this going to take? I have so many things to do. I need to plan my meals, meet my workout buddy and get to that meeting. Your brain is already defaulting to that predictable future. But we've discovered that you're not a bad meditator, nor are you bad at sticking to a fitness routine. This is actually how you do it. You become conscious that you've gone unconscious in your predictable future and you bring your attention back to the present moment. That's a victory. Now, let's say your body is used to feeling a certain way during a workout. Maybe you usually feel frustrated when you don't hit a new personal best, or anxious when trying a new exercise. Your body starts reacting, making you feel impatient or uneasy. Many people think, I must not be good at this, whether it's meditating or fitness. But really, your body is just used to being stimulated by external factors like hitting that PR or sticking to familiar movements. The key is to settle your body back down into the present moment, telling it that it's no longer in charge, you are. Do this enough times and you train your body to be comfortable in the present moment, to be comfortable in the unknown. Eventually there comes a moment where your body is no longer the mind, the servant is no longer the master, you're in control. And when that happens, there's a tremendous liberation of energy. Your body transitions from being stuck in the past or worrying about the predictable future to being free and full of potential. We often find that this energy moves right into a person's heart, where they start feeling grateful just to be in that present moment. Instead of fearing the unknown and trying to predict the next moment, they embrace it. Now, this is a practice, and if you do it regularly, you can become really good at being in the unknown. You can go against thousands of years of programming that says the unknown is a dangerous place. Our instincts tell us there are better chances of survival if we run from the unknown rather than embrace it. But as you practice relaxing into the unknown, especially in your health and fitness journey, you start to realize that nothing bad is happening there. You just start relaxing and expanding, and that's when a host of biological changes begin to take place. Your body starts adapting, your mind starts opening, and your potential for growth becomes limitless. So I think you can make this a skill, getting comfortable in the unknown, especially when it comes to your health and fitness. It's where real transformation happens. I made this video because of the profound impact that neuroplasticity has had on my life. When I was 26 years old, I was addicted to drugs and alcohol and in the worst shape of my life. And at age 46 now, I'm in the best shape of my life and only getting better. And it's because of practicing neuroplasticity. At age 30, I joined the army as an infantry soldier to really shake things up. When I got out at age 34, I started a relentless pursuit of personal development that's led me to where I am now. I can assure you that this stuff really works. But of course, a big part of my transformation was my strength and flexibility training. And if you want to know how I did that, you can get the strength and flexibility blueprint. It's free, just click or tap the screen there. To write the script for this video, I adapted a small part of a podcast with Chris Williamson and Joe Dispenza on the Modern Wisdom podcast. I'll share a link in the description where you can go and check out that full podcast. And if you want to see more in this series on neuroplasticity specific for health and fitness, you can click or tap the screen there. Make sure you grab the strength and flexibility blueprint. You can grab that there, and I'll see you in that next video.